Welcome to the Doc Dudes, your premier podcast for a behind-the-scenes look at the latest in aesthetic medicine. Hosted by the cosmetic surgeons at Graper Harper Cosmetic Surgery in Charlotte, North Carolina, the Doc Dudes brings you interviews with insightful guests, expert tips from experienced medical professionals, and lots of laughs along the way. And now, here's Dr. Garrett Harper, Dr. Robert Graper, and Dr. Evon Zoog, also known as the Doc Dudes.
Welcome to the Doc Dudes. I'm Dr. Robert Graper, along with Dr. Garrett Harper and Dr. Evon Zoog. We have a special episode entitled Beauty and the Facelift, and who better to talk about that than our very special guest, Barbara McKay, who's here in the studio with us. We've known her for years. She's a legend in Charlotte, North Carolina, and we're just so proud to have her with us.
I am thrilled to be here. This is my happy place, and you all are my heroes. I talk about you all the time.
We've been talking about all our commonalities with Atlanta folk and all that kind of stuff. It's great. So it's been really great to meet you.
Thank you.
First of all, I want to say I've had a lot of great feedback from people on the Doc Dudes. Has anybody talked to you guys about it?
I've had some good feedback as well.
Good.
People want to hear this kind of stuff.
Yeah, I think it's neat.
I didn't think that, but they do.
Yeah.
They really are interested.
I think it's neat. I think it's a good avenue for them, so I'm glad we're doing this, and we hope that our audience enjoys it too. I'm going to read from script right now because Barbara...
Her bio is so big and large and impressive.
She's way too important for me to miss anything.
Right.
No,
so if it sounds like I'm reading, I am reading. Right? No, we absolutely do.
And don't go Mackay.
That's right. And then we're going to get to your experience here and why you chose everything to be done here and all that. But here is Barbara's bio. Her many years of television, radio, and magazines have made Barbara McKay one of Charlotte's most popular and recognizable media personalities. For her numerous TV shows and specials, Barbara has traveled the world to interview top newsmakers, major stars in the entertainment industry, and prominent sports figures. After hosting her daily top-rated show, Top of the Day, for 16 years on CBS affiliate WBTV, Barbara went on to create, executive produce, and host several other lifestyle shows locally, regionally, and nationally. A wide range of brands and companies have leveraged Barbara's position as a trusted advisor to her viewers, readers, and social media followers, recognized for her professionalism and communication expertise and beauty.
I'll
say that was not in the script, but I added that.
Well, you are responsible for that in this office.
She has served as spokesperson for national and international companies, including Tyson Foods, Target, Winn-Dixie, Harris Teeter, Lowe's Home Improvement, just to name a few. Additional highlights in Barbara's media career include roles in CBS's daytime dramas The Guiding Light and As the World Turns. I had no idea. That's awesome. As well as appearances as a lifestyle reporter on nationally televised features. In addition to success in broadcast media, Barbara has also launched and published two successful magazines in the Charlotte market, Barbara McKay's Bride and Barbara McKay's Simply the Best. Thanks to her community activism and philanthropy, in June of 2008, Barbara was presented the Maya Angelou, I know why the cage bird sings, Women Who Lead Award for her contributions and commitment to higher education and for her personal and professional achievements. Wow, this is a heck of a CV. Barbara's latest cookbook, which we have here, and you do look beautiful in it, Coming Home, Recipes and Reflections from a Life in the Spotlight, include recipes, special memories, and highlights from her career, including tributes to her children, family, and her faith. And we will talk about the book, I think, towards kind of the end of the podcast and let people know where they can get it, I think.
There's a chapter about all of you in there.
Oh, that's fantastic.
Aging gracefully. Aging gracefully.
Right.
Yeah.
I just read. I felt like the only time I ever really read like this is at church. So this is great. Right? Much fewer difficult words
You're a good
read.
reader.
Thank you.
It took me 45 years to accomplish all that. You realize.
I felt like it took me 45 minutes to read it.
I did.
So that's good.
I did.
Right.
And on top of that, it takes much more skill to be a surgeon on somebody's face and other body parts than to talk on television. So that's really not an accomplishment in here with all of you.
I don't know.
All of you, I am in awe.
You want to see how hard it is to put us on national television?
Yeah,
Give us a script.
Yeah, you and I did a couple morning segments a couple of years ago. Yeah, it's kind of tripping over yourself.
I'm just grateful. I am just grateful. And it's amazing they let me still do this. I'm still filling in on some shows. And I am certain, and I give credit where credit is due, this is an industry where they expect you to look the best you can for the age that you are. And that's why I came here.
I was going to say, that must have influenced you, that
It
pressure,
did.
the work pressure.
It did. But mainly, you should not be pressured by anyone but your own head and heart, and let you decide what you want for you. And that's what I did. And I didn't come wanting you to change anything. I came because I just wanted to look the best that I could for the age that I am. And Dr. Graper, as you
That's
all
a good
know,
way to put it.
You know, because you all have come to work with him, his standards are so extraordinarily high. And so I knew I was going to do this, and I had respected you for so long and admired you for so
And
long.
vice versa.
But I owed it to make sure I came in for a consultation before we did anything. And that sealed the deal. I
You
could have
asked
gone to
great
the OR
questions.
that afternoon. Yeah, I was prepared. I researched, what do I need to ask my plastic surgeon? And interestingly, you answered them before I had to ask, and you made me so comfortable.
Well,
Thank you.
You've already touched on, the main motivations of, I don't like this myself. I'm not doing it for anybody else. But we also hear lots of people who say, I feel more comfortable at the workplace, or I'm not feeling as comfortable at the workplace with the younger workers. And I'm so talented that they still want me, but I don't feel like I'm as comfortable. So I want to do this both professionally and personally, and do only the things that you want done. I mean, so you did good research. Well, Barbara, as you think back on it, do you remember specifically what your concerns and issues were?
Yes, I had an accident, and I had to go to the emergency room. I broke my jaw in 3 places. I'd lacerated my face. Trauma to my head and face, yes.
What year was this?
And this was 18.
Wow.
Yeah. And when I went to the emergency room to stop the bleeding, I had a big gash under my chin. And to stop the bleeding, they just kind of pulled up my neck and stitched across it. And I already had an old neck. So I came to see you, and I just wanted to start with, do you think you could do something about this? And then after you explained very thoroughly exactly what you could do about it, I then said, well, what else? While I'm under, what else could you do? And
we never get that. Nobody ever says that.
So
right?
efficient.
Right.
I couldn't wait to hear. And that's when I found out so much more about what I could do. And it was very important to me that it be very subtle. I just wanted to look refreshed. I did want my neck fixed, and you assured me that could be done.
You wanted to put it back where it was.
Well, and do a little more if possible. You did.
Well, put it back where you were is pretty great.
Well,
I think
thank
you touched on something important, because my question was going to be, why'd you choose this guy, right? And so, I know because I see his work all the time. So I know why you would choose him. But for people out there, I think, I just went on a trip, and while I was out there, somebody, just inevitably asks you what you do. And you say, I'm a doctor. I try to not answer plastic surgery because I know I'm going to get a million consults while I'm waiting in line for the restaurant or whatever. But inevitably, people ask you what type of doctor. And when you say plastic surgeon, they either have like a really great kind of feeling about it, or they're like, what about these celebrities that get these crazy facelifts? So I don't really have a way to answer that, because you, like a lot of people, your looks are important, and looking like your best self at your age is something we all strive for, but specifically when you're in front of the camera, that's a big thing. And I always kind of tell them, I don't know why this celebrity looks so pulled or this face looks so bad, but you kind of already touched on it a little bit. You wanted it to look natural, and I think that's hugely important. And so I imagine that's one of the things when you're looking at Dr. Graper's before and afters, and you're kind of deciding on a doctor. Those are kind of characteristics of results that I think most people want. I think the other intimidates them and makes them say, I would never do that. Have you looked at fill in the blank, celebrity that just looks
It's probably our biggest
awful obstacle.
comment
Yeah.
in the consultation is, well, if this star had it and they look so bad and have access to all the, best in Hollywood, why do they look so terrible? And that's a real concern. And we usually just say, we want to make you look like you. We want to make you look better, natural, and have the scars be unimportant. The incisions are unimportant. And then we show them pictures and talk about the whole thing, just like we did with you.
All good reasons that I chose you. Again, I had a history. I had always respected him, but this was my face.
Sure.
I needed to
It's
make
different.
sure.
You can be friends with somebody, but that
Right,
doesn't mean you let
right.
them operate on your face.
Yeah, and there were so many things about that consultation that you probably don't even remember, but I clearly remember. And I decided then I was going to share this with people because just as you were saying, people have preconceived notions about plastic surgery. They're going to either judge you or they're going to say, I want what you have. So I decided to just make it more accessible for people and make people realize you can talk about this. So as soon as I began talking about this, it is amazing how many people I heard from.
Yeah.
They thanked me. First of all, it was surprising how many were shocked that I was sharing the information. And it was like, why not? Growing up, my mother always said, if you look good, you feel good. And if you feel good, you do good.
Yeah. We see that every day.
I just wanted I wanted to feel good and I wanted to do good. And so part of my doing good is I wanted people to know it's okay to have this done. And after I put it in my book and every time I post, I get all these direct messages that I want to say it they're still a little bit intimidated by putting it out there to everybody, but they say, thank you so much. Or they say, oh, I love him. I went to him for da-da-da-da-da. And it's very gratifying to me to know that I feel like it's a service. Some people might not think that, but it's a real service to people. And I hear from people all over the country, especially since my book came out, all over the country. And I've had several calls from Beverly Hills because of all that I've done all these years that I've gotten to know a lot of people out there. And they have said, oh, my goodness, I wish, how I wish he were here. Oh, how I wish. One person talked to me for 2 hours about how to come here, where she could stay, all of these things. And it's very gratifying to hear people that curious and knowing that you helped them, not only helped them, but helped them find a doctor and a place to come. And all of you, and I know you agree with me, all of you reflect his standards. And that's why you're here.
Well, and I think it having someone with your character and with your achievements, I think it certainly legitimizes some elements of the profession, because I do think that some people look at it like it's crazy land sometimes.
Well, and one of the biggest things that you overcame at the very beginning was, how am I going to tell my friends? And I usually say, just tell them the truth.
Yeah.
I mean, this is 2024, and it's not 25 years ago when you were embarrassed. And if you are embarrassed, I don't know, maybe you shouldn't do this.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Please yourself.
And one way I talk to patients about that is whether it's face or tummy or breasts or anything like that. I get patients who say, well, I don't want anybody to know. And I'm like, you don't want your best friends to know. You don't want your spouse to know. There's going to be a difference,
job,
right?
You're going to be able to tell.
Yeah.
I hope they know.
But my follow-up to that is, I think what you're saying is, you don't want to be at the beach in your bikini playing Kadima paddle and people automatically look at you and say, I know she had a tummy tuck. Like that I get. Like there are people who have improvements and great results that don't look operated on, right? Like I'm doing
comes
air
under
quotes
natural
when I say that. Correct. And so that's what I think people mean when they say like, I don't want people to know. Of course you want people to know.
You want them to notice that, that you just look good. How do you stay looking so good? That's the comment we want. Right.
I get that 1,000 times, and I'm so grateful. Again, just because I'm out there. And I will tell you what my answer is. Dr. Graper.
Well, and that taking the stress out of it, of not having to hide it, I really think a lot of people fear that. They don't feel the surgery so much because we know what we're doing. We're going to do a good job. They fear that how am I going to tell my mother, my kids,
Right.
my friends? And I just say, half the people, well, I break it down into thirds. A third of the people are going to know instantly you did your face. A third of the people are going to think you lost weight or changed your hair or different color. And a third of the people don't even know you have a face. They're just they're just not paying enough attention.
Right,
That's
right. You think they care, but it's you who really cares. It's changed some in that I think they fear less telling somebody. They fear more, what if it goes wrong? What if I have bad work? So it's really, really important to trust the person.
And that goes back to the Hollywood example.
Yes, yes.
It's not like there isn't some bad work
Oh,
out
for
there.
sure.
We just don't have that problem. I don't even know how to make some of those weird results.
Yeah.
I have a theory. It's
Right.
too much fat grafting, but
Yeah.
we just don't have that issue here to know.
And you need to trust when you're going under that this is not going to happen to you.
Did you think the before and afters were helpful?
I love people love before and after anything, whether it's a face or a kitchen. They just like a before and after. And something as important as your face, that's really important.
Did we do the computer simulation for you? Was that helpful?
Yes. Yes, everything you did was very helpful. I'll tell you, I mentioned trust being so important. Something that you did, and this is a funny story. I asked, what else would you do? And you told me all of these things that you might do. And I said, well, I probably can't do all of that. Let's do, and I was choosing the things that I should do. The first part isn't so funny. You said do a brow lift. And I had heard only from people who had had this done years ago. And I said, no, I don't think I want to do that. And you explained to me how that procedure is vastly different from the way it was years ago. So when you did my facelift, I am so thankful that you did the brow lift. That was probably my favorite part. It really, and I would not have done that had you not told me about it and then told me why you thought it was important for me. But the funny part, so you told me these things that you could do to give me an option of what I might want to do. And so I chose what I wanted to do and then went home. And the day of the surgery, you had given me one Valium to take so that I would just be comfortable and relaxed for the surgery because it's a big thing. And I remember I got over here and I'd never taken a Valium before. And I took the Valium. And I said, oh, hey, good morning. Let's just do everything. Go ahead and do everything that you wanted to do. And then you said...
It revved you up. It didn't calm you down,
No,
right?
I was very
Yeah.
excited.
All right, hey.
And then the first thing out of Dr. Graper's mouth was, Barbara, that's your Valium talking. We're going to only do what you trusted me to do the first time. But now I kind of wish I'd done it all. Because now
Not
it's
too
totally
late.
I'll be
Right,
back.
right.
I will be back.
Barbara, I have a question for you. How would you describe your surgery experience? Were there any surprises? Because I feel like a lot of patients are very, very scared of, one, if something goes wrong, right? But two, the pain and the discomfort. They're freaked out about how painful it's going to be when they look and see incisions about people who've had a facelift. How was the surgery experience
Well, I can
for
just
you?
speak for me, but it was wonderful. And a very interesting part of that, too, is that I came here for my surgery. And, of course, anytime you're having surgery, there are questions. I always pray before I do a surgery. But I was very comfortable. I was very, very comfortable. And but the main thing I want to say is that he didn't cut any corners. He did whatever it took. And as it turned out, I was not an easy face to work on. And because I don't have a lot of fat in my face, that's what you told me.
Well, you are a good candidate because you're a thin, angular face.
Yeah.
Well, I appreciate the fact that you did whatever it took at that particular time to make sure that everything was safe and fine, and I had the results that I wanted. So thank you.
It probably takes us 2.5 to do a face. Yeah. But it does take us a while to kind of get going, to get prepped and draped and monitored and go to sleep.
I always have difficulty getting their hair out of the way, you know?
Yeah.
It looks like I'm a new dad with their daughter putting pigtails
Well, I'm
in.
definitely
it's
hair
just
challenged, so
terrible,
I have the same
But I think
problem.
you're
yeah,
right. They
without a
dropped
doubt.
me off here, and then a whole lot happened before they came back to get me, and I had to wake up and all of that. But I was just impressed that you did whatever it took to make me happy with the
Well,
results.
you're a number one.
Thank you.
That day, you're the star.
Thank you. And that's how you treat patients here.
Yeah. So you briefly kind of mentioned it about your follow-up care, and How was that? Did you left after your procedure, presumably, because sometimes we offer there are nursing staffs that will go home with patients, but presumably you had somebody that took care of you at home. Right. And we do want to emphasize that, we don't let people come in, have surgery, and then, take an Uber home. Like, that's just absolutely. No. And occasionally we get some people who are in situations where they live by themselves. They don't really have the support network. And so for those patients, we definitely either say, you got to have a friend, you got to have a family member with you for the first couple of days, or you can have, one of these nursing services that'll come stay with patients. I just operated on a patient earlier today, and she's got a nurse lined up for a week. 1 week.
Yeah, she won't need that.
Yeah, she won't need it, but she wanted it, and yeah, I mean, it's good for the nurses.
What's right. Yeah, do what's right for them.
That's exactly right.
I was comfortable with the people that I had at home to take care of me, and also I had very clear instructions of what I was to do and what I was not to do. And I am a rule follower.
That's
I
great.
did everything I was told to do, even when I felt like I didn't need it. But and then you're back here in a few hours for you to tell me everything's okay. And
and so you came back the next day.
Yes.
You'd take the head wrap off, take a look at your incisions. If you kind of used to use a drain, but nowadays you've got
with the new fiber glue, we don't even use that drain anymore.
Yeah, which is pretty neat.
I think you are back the next day to make sure things are healing properly, and then take the dressing off the following day, get in the shower. We put these restrictions on. Do you remember all those? We don't want you eating salt, and we don't want you laying flat.
I did everything you told me to do. I was going to make sure.
Was it hard to do those things?
No, I just wanted to follow all the rules, and I knew that this was a procedure that I didn't want to have to do over, or you to have to do over again. I wanted to do my part, and because the instructions were so very clear, and I will tell you that your entire staff, not just these wonderful doctors at the table, but your entire staff, they answer my questions immediately. And you do have questions like, I rolled over on the bed. Is that okay? And they are so patient about all of that. They know we're going to ask sometimes silly questions.
It's like me calling the computer place when my computer doesn't work, and I feel like I'm asking a very difficult or silly question, and they go, hey.
As my kids have gotten older, I just look over at them. I'm like, can you help me do this on the computer?
So there are no silly post-operative questions.
So it's a couple of weeks process, right? Like, when would you say you felt comfortable going out to dinner? And of course, women can hide some of their incision lines with their hair and things like that. But, we also do male facelifts, which we're going to talk about in the podcast, coming up. But, when did you feel like Barbara again?
I'm probably unlike some other people, but because I was sharing this and knew I was going to be sharing it on all my social media, I just went out and about. I put my sunglasses on and, fluffed my hair a little bit more. And if anybody asked me, I just said, I just had some surgery. I'm so excited.
Yeah. You said something earlier, and I just want to share a story briefly, about if you look good, you feel good, and if you feel good, you do good. And I remember I had a patient that was a teacher, and she'd lost a lot of weight, was in the process of kind of continuing to lose some more, and she came in for a consultation for breast and body, and she's kind of ornery, just not happy, frowning, not real engaging, and we went through the consult pretty well, and she actually tried to kick my assistant out. She was like, I don't want another person seeing me while you're evaluating me or any of that kind of stuff. And I said, well, you can't do that. Like, she's staying in here and we're doing this, and got through it. And then, she lost a little bit more weight. We ended up doing her surgeries. And, I remember on one of her follow-ups, she came in and she was wearing knee-high boots and a short skirt and a great outfit, and she came with a box of Krispy Kreme donuts, I think, and was just thankful and nice. And her whole, I think she had makeup on, her hair was done, doing all this kind of stuff. And I just thought to myself, it doesn't just stop there, because that person came not happy. And that person came, for whatever reason, not their best version, not their happiest version. And I also think about how much influence that person as a school teacher had on hundreds of kids through the years, of not being her happiest self. And to see this new person happy and engaging, and all the it was a transformation. Yes. And I felt like, right, and it's always stuck with me, that whole concept of like being happy about yourself. And I know how, if I'm exercising or doing things like that, I feel better about myself, and the same for this. And I want
Perfect
people
example.
to know, surgery can do that. It can change things emotionally and psychologically for you too, right?
Perfect example of that. There's a saying, when I like my outfit, I'm nicer. Mm-hmm. So that takes it to a whole nother level. When I like my face every day.
Well, you're a happy person anyway.
I am happy.
Did you notice any of that kind of thing?
Of what?
Of the after the surgery of going out, it's like having a new dress on. Did you feel that way?
Oh, I felt so good. I was so... I'm kind of
You're
happy
up
a lot.
all the time.
I am kind of perky. Some people think I've been accused of being way too perky, and that can't be normal. It's just
in the plastic surgery world, you can never be too perky.
Okay, good.
Whichever way you want to look at it.
No,
so
and I was very proud to tell people, oh yeah, I had this done. It feels so good, and I'm so happy about it. And you really should think about it.
I think it's great.
I owned it,
yeah.
yes. And the same thing with people who are really wanting to gossip about it or say, oh, you know what Barbara's done. You completely diffuse them. They have nothing to say. She's already said it.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, I love that. So I think I know the answer to this, but just kind of in summation of your experience and your choices and your decision, what advice do you give to those people that reach out to you either through DMs or are listening on our podcast, when they think about plastic surgery? Like what do you tell them? Hey, these are the tenets. This is what I commend to you. What would you say?
Probably the first thing is make sure you want to do this for you, not for anybody else. You want to do this for you. And then when you decide to do it, make sure that you do your research. Make sure you know all about your doctor. Make sure you know people who have been to your doctor. Make sure that you have seen his work, and make sure you are comfortable. Have the consultation. Make sure that you are comfortable and trusting. And that makes it all go so well. I was relaxed. I could hardly wait for the day to come.
You were excited.
Oh, yes. I was so excited. And then afterwards, I truly am stopped all the time because all these years of being out there, they all think they know me, and I'm thankful for that.
Yeah.
But they will now, because I've made this very public, they will ask me all kinds of questions, and I very happily, it's almost like a service now. And every time I post something, I get a question about it. And they almost, by the way they're asking it, it's almost like they're whispering it. You know what? Even though it's in writing, but there's still this little bit of a stigma. And then they thank me profusely. So
well, I think people like you certainly take the stigma away from it. I think
so.
that the results that you got, and I think that kind of the philosophy and the approach that Dr. Graper's, taught myself and also Dr. Zoog is great. I remember, being back there doing a facelift a few years ago and just kind of asking him some questions. And he said, I've tried everything. And some things have worked great. Some things, just kind of take it or leave it. So now this is how I do it. So when you've got somebody who's been doing it for as long as he's been doing it and as well as he's been doing it, I think it's important. That doesn't mean that the young guy, the new guy doesn't have great skills and all that. But from my vantage point, it's been awesome to learn, the Graper way.
and to be associated with his name.
Well,
100%.
you all are very kind, but we all stand on the shoulders of giants, and mine was Fritz Barton and Sam Hammer,
Sure.
and guys who taught me in Dallas that were superstars. So, you do things that they did, and you see what works in your hands and what doesn't, and modify it and changing all the time.
But it is amazing how many different approaches there are to I mean, Rod Hester, Fuad Nahai, Mark Codner, these guys are huge names, and that's who trained me at Emory. But I came here and you had a different approach, and I commend you for it. I commend you that you've tried different things. Brow lifts are a great kind of example of that, how we've gone from MyTech screws in the skull
Right,
and
that's what
doing
I was
things like,
envisioning,
oh my
and
gosh.
And the incision from ear to ear.
Oh,
it's
yeah.
It's
My
a
head.
inch and a half incision. It's nothing.
Yeah. Well, tell us a little bit about your book, because we're going to wrap up, not take any more of your time, but give us a little bit of information about your book and where people can find you on social media and stuff like that. Because I know people, are already following you like crazy, but people who listen to this podcast, I'm sure would like to do the same.
First of all, thank you for having me here. Anytime you want me to come back, I'll be glad to
How about
do
tomorrow?
that. Tomorrow, I'll be here. Tell me. Again, one more thing about all of this is making sure that there's a lot of follow-up after the surgery, too. And you have such a wonderful skincare staff. I can't say enough about them. So you have everything.
That's the foundation for everything. I say it almost every podcast. I say it almost to everybody that I talk to is start young and start with good skincare. Even, Botox fillers, that's a great kind of, and then laser treatments, RF microneedling. We've got everything here to help people at any age be their best version, which is great.
Well, part of my happiness and my perkiness is because I live in a state of gratitude. And this is a place, every time I come, I leave even happier than when I arrived, because this is a place of happy, positive, talented, skillful people. So I love it. I can't say enough about it. As you can probably tell, I've taken up all your time. Oh, the book. Sorry about the book. We don't have time for that. But here it is, Coming Home, Recipes and Reflections. And included in that is a chapter about Dr. Graper
There's
and the experience
a common color
here.
palette to your outfits. Those are your
that's my
your
signature
wheelhouse.
color.
I
It's
love
my
that.
signature color.
Yeah, as I'm in like a pastel kind of
This is right. I noticed as
purple
soon as
scrub.
you came in.
Yes.
And of course the Carolina blue over there. And
Right.
then I'd
Go
like
Heels.
maybe to go Heels.
Go Heels.
Oh,
you always
yes, I
say
know.
that. Go Dogs.
What?
Georgia Bulldogs. Georgia Bulldogs.
Okay. But the book can be found on Amazon, Coming Home. If you just Google my name, Barbara McKay, you can find me out there. And it can also be found at my website. You can learn a little bit more about me on the website, barbaramckay.com. And I talk about you there, too.
Love that. Barbara, you've been amazing. What a great guest for the Doc Dudes. If you've got questions, topics you want us to cover, obviously visit our website, www.ghsurgery.com. It's on the line. It's a joke. And click on the Doc Dudes from the home page. There's a link to click to submit your questions and ideas. You can also listen to all of the Doc Dudes episodes at our website, as well as Apple, Spotify, YouTube, anywhere you want to listen to your favorite podcast, which is great. Also follow us on Instagram and Facebook and find out when new episodes are going to drop and other information about our practice. I am Garrett Harper with Evon Zoog, Dr. Robert Graper, and Barbara McKay. We are so thankful that you came, and God bless.
Awesome to see you.
Oh, I love it here.